The last few years have seen an increase of media coverage on the issue of knife crime. The majority of these incidents are limited to inner city areas and are often gang-related. This coverage seems to suggest that knife crime is becoming a common occurrence in the UK. However, figures published by the NHS at the end of 2008 have sparked off a row over inaccuracies between the Office for National Statistics and the government. NHS statistics suggest that there has been an 8% decrease in hospital admissions for people suffering knife wounds in England, whereas government figures state that there has been a drop of 27% in similar incidents in certain areas of the country. This suggests that knife crime is not a larger problem as the media would like us to believe. However, problems do exist, and this film sets out to highlight the dangers of carrying a knife and the impact that knife crime has on victims, attackers and their families. We begin our investigations by asking a number of young people their opinions on the reasons why they or other teenagers might be tempted to pick up and carry knives.
Mainly protection, I say.
Most probably because they're afraid.
For like the own protection and like so someone else don't put a knife on them.
Because there's like so many crimes, they might be scared of like getting hurt or something, so they think it's better to carry knives, so they know that they're protected and they've got more chance of like not getting hurt.
I had loads of people after me and my brother, and I just thought it as protection, so to protect myself.
I think it's like for protection. For protection, a lot of them would say for protection, and they're maybe scared of being assaulted with a knife themselves. So they think that by carrying one, they've got a better chance of, if say they was coming up into a 50-50 and someone else has got a knife, it would benefit them to have one themselves.
It seems some young people are fearful of walking the streets without some form of protection. We ask the question, does a knife really protect you from harm?
Yeah, well it depends really, like.
It could do, but it might bring you home as well.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, like there's potentially both ways.
Not really, no, not anymore. I used to think that, but not anymore.
If I carry a shank and someone that's got problems with me gets told that I'm carrying a knife, and they're gonna be like, yeah, I need to carry a knife as well. And like they might think that I'm looking for them to stab them. So then they could call it one of their friends or something, they could come and try to stab me. Because
like, I just don't see the point really. You can just, I don't know, you can carry on normal life like carrying a knife and stuff like that, so.
If you can't handle it with your fist, then there's no point in really fighting.
No, not really, because they could like take the knife if you use it on you or do something with it.
The reality is that carrying a knife is more likely to increase your chances of being hurt or sent to prison rather than actually protecting you.
In our experience, it doesn't offer any protection. What I would say is, if people make a conscious decision to pick up a weapon, be it a knife, whilst they stay at their home address or a friend's address, and once they leave their home and step out onto the street, they're embarking on a journey that they have no control over. And often the perception is that they do have some sort of control over it because they feel reassured that they have a knife concealed about their body. But what we find is, you know, you may come in contact with individuals who may want to remove some articles from you, or a conflict situation which we find then escalates, resulting in that individual who probably never thought they would produce the knife but just wanted protection. They produce that knife, and often that can be taken off them, used against them, and as we've seen, unfortunately, tragically, will often lead to a fatality. Somebody loses their life, or a serious wounding can happen. And again, the consequences there is that individual who made the decision to put the knife in their pocket and go out into the street can often then face the serious consequences, which could be ultimately a term imprisonment.
Even the most experienced personnel, from the police to the forces, cannot guarantee they will not be cut and receive a serious laceration leading to potential death. So if you imagine the untrained person has even less a chance.
Knife injuries can be deadly and debilitating. It seems that many people are unaware of the amount and types of damage a knife can do to the human body. The reality is that even if someone survives a knife attack, they will often be permanently disfigured and need further treatment.
Most people, when they're stabbing each other, they tend to stab either in the chest or they tend to stab in the tummy. The commonest injuries that we get are either heart stabbings, lung injuries, occasionally organs such as the liver or spleen being severely damaged with a knife.
The range of injuries include eye injuries, facial disfigurement, nerve damage, fractures, amputations.
We asked a number of young people if they thought the majority of knife attacks were likely to end in a death.
Most of it, yeah.
Not really. I don't know. People just get injured, really.
What, death? Most of them.
Sometimes depends like how bad it is, how bad it gets.
It is, however, quite common that these types of incidents can end in fatalities.
Because of the myriad of veins across the surface of the body and the skin, any severance of those vessels, blood vessels, can lead to death relatively quickly.
Too many times, and that's the sad reality of it. People who are carrying knives don't realise the damage that they potentially could do to stabbing by stabbing another person. They think that it's a short blade, they think that it's a 3-4 inch blade. What they don't realise is that when the force of stabbing that person, they could possibly make the blade go in further by 1 inch to 1.5 inches.
Trying to save somebody's life after a knife attack is a difficult and distressing task for the emergency services. It takes a highly trained team to focus on the task at hand.
The moment that we get a call from the ambulance service that somebody's been stabbed, we start gearing up for the patient's arrival. First of all, there is a trauma team, and that's composed of generally people from emergency medicine, consultant in accident emergency, a general surgeon, occasionally an orthopedic surgeon, and an anaesthetist who will anaesthetize the patient if necessary, so that we can stabilize them further. Once the patient comes through the doors, we take over the stabilization from the paramedics who've already started doing their job. In a lot of areas in the country, there are doctors working outside the hospital, so they may have started doing the stabilization as well from outside. But we take over from the paramedics. They've done an excellent job. They hand over the patient to us. We start stabilizing further. We may anesthetize them, and then the process of investigation starts to decide what damage the knife has done, where it's injured, what organs need to be repaired or removed, and then surgery in the majority of cases for serious stabbing.
On top of having to stabilise the victim, medical staff have to deal with the emotional impact this has on themselves, distressed family members and the potential further gang-related violence.
The majority of victims of stabbings tend to be younger. Most of the staff are young, and they look at these patients and can identify with them from their age, and they feel really scared, the majority of them. So what we tend to do is to debrief afterwards, talk about it, support each other, which is really crucial. And there's also the fear that the majority of a lot of the stabbings are gang related. This is always the fear that other gang members may come into our department to carry out further crimes, which is obviously a great fear for us as well. People don't see the damage that's done. People have never had to tell a mother that her son is dead. People should really come and see the grief of the families. People should come and see girlfriends crying because their loved ones have died. People should come and see the anguish of the father as he cradles his son in the last moments of his life. People should come and see the blood that's poured everywhere as a result of stabbing. It is absolutely awful.
In December 2002, Jerome Eugene Bergen, aged 27, died of a single stab wound to the chest. This murder has had a long-lasting impact on his family, who have struggled to rebuild their lives in the aftermath of that fateful day.
It was Sunday the 29th of December. He was supposed to be coming home about lunchtime to go shopping with me. But had a phone call saying to me that he'll be coming about late evening. So he came by, we spoke on the phone, and he said to me, "I'm just round the corner, Mum. I'll be there in, 5 minutes? And I'll have dinner with you." I says, "Fine." He's got a back door key because he was a DJ, and I gave him a back door key so he doesn't disturb me coming in about 2, 3 in the morning. And so I said to him, "Okay, I'll stand and wait for you." Look in the kitchen through the window, through the back gate, and waiting and waiting. And thought, where is he? Just can't understand it. But then there was an almighty knock at the front door, and I thought, What is he playing at? He's got a back door key. Why is he knocking the front door? Of course, I've rushed to the front door and opened the door just to shout at him, only to see one of my neighbors standing at the front of the door. He was so excited, waving his arms up in the air and so shocked and everything, and says, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people at the back and there's an ambulance and your Eugene is being stabbed up and he's in an ambulance. And I thought, my gosh, just couldn't really take that in. So of course I ran out the house only to see crowds and crowds of people. It's only just around the corner, around the house. And the ambulance was pulling out. So that really didn't get to see Eugene. Of course, I thought there's a little scuffle, nothing's going to happen. And however, I followed on. A neighbor took me. I was in such a state. Went to the QMC, only to be told a couple of hours after, no more Eugene, he's gone.
Jerome's attacker received a prison sentence for the murder. However, many people, including those in Eugene's family, do not feel that penalties for knife-related crimes are harsh enough to be considered an effective deterrent. It is the families that have to live with the aftermath of losing a loved one.
I don't think I will never, ever, ever get over losing my son. I'm taking it from one day to the next. I've got 2 children, but one has been cruelly taken away from me. And how I feel is, I've got a heart, and half of my heart is gone. That's Eugene. And the other half is for David. And I live for David. Can't get over this. No.
It seems that many young people carrying weapons do not realise the implications that this may actually have on their own lives. It's not only the victim that suffers. The reality is a prison sentence that will affect the offender, their friends and their family, as well as having an impact on their job prospects in the future. Shane, aged 19, received a 4-year sentence for attacking another person during a drunken argument.
I went to a party one time, then I ended up getting into a fight. And I had a knife on just in case I had to get in trouble. But I ended up using a knife on someone else, not the reason why I brought it out. And then I got sent to jail for it. Well, it's kind of ruined my life. I got sent to jail, now I can't find a job. And I lost a lot of friends as well for being inside.
We asked whether he had thought at the time that there would have been repercussions to him carrying a weapon.
I thought it'd be just to scare someone. When you're little, you think, oh, you got a knife, people are going to run away. Yeah. But it's different.
Like many that have been convicted of a knife crime, Shane has been forced to re-evaluate his beliefs about the protection a knife actually brings. We asked him if he now thought that carrying a knife was a valid form of protection.
At the time I did, but once I realised what has happened, it's not worth it.
Prison sentence is a likely result of someone using or being caught with a knife. We were interested in finding out how much young people knew of the penalties that knife offences could bring. We asked what they thought the minimum and maximum penalties relating to knife crimes were.
Well, for carrying a knife, I think it's 5 years. And, or is it, yeah, 5. I don't know about if you've used it, probably more.
6 years?
I think it's 4 years.
The maximum penalty currently stands at 4 years imprisonment if any person's convicted of such an offence.
I got sent to jail for it. 4 years. I did 2 years inside. It's about 15 or 10 or something like that.
Probably murder charge or something like that.
Life.
That obviously would end in potentially a conviction for murder, which would be life imprisonment, and obviously the tariff that follows will be determined according to the circumstances surrounding the event.
There is a generalised view from some members of the public that prison life is an easy ride. This has led to a popular belief amongst many young people that they would be able to cope with being locked up. We visited a prison to seek out the realities of incarceration and its impact on prisoners and their families.
The media and people that they know that might have been in prison always tell you the good bits. They always tell you there's a telly in your cell, you get to go to the gym, play snooker or pool. Yeah, you do. But they don't tell you about the loneliness. When that door shuts on you for that first night and you're on your own, you're in a cell with nobody. People in prison generally don't have friends. You're on your own. It's about having to do what you're told when you're told. And there's no arguments about that. You can make some choices, but a lot of the choices are taken out of your control while you're inside. Prison is not the place to be. It's not what they think it is.
and if they talk to anybody, prison is really, really hard, and some people can't take that.
We asked a prisoner about prison life.
Pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting up in the morning, looking out my 4 bars,
yeah.
Knowing that my family's about 15 minutes away from the wall and that. Get woke up about 6 o'clock in the morning by the kitchen staff and that, getting the other prisoners up for work. Get up, get dressed, sit in the cell for 2 hours waiting to get unlocked for route. Go to work, wait for roll check, then go around the jail picking rubbish up and that. Go back to the shed about 10, then start the route again about 11:30. Go back to the wing for dinner, wait till about 1:30, 2 o'clock, then back on the route back to work. Then the same again, 4:30. Then go back, get your tea, then bang up. Every day, yeah. No, it's bad enough sharing a cell with somebody who you know, but somebody who you don't know, like I'm in with at the minute. You don't wash, don't brush his teeth. You have to sit in your cell and both use the same toilet and that. Got to eat in your cell and that. You have to get up every morning knowing that just a look can get you into bother, or just something you say, just the littlest thing can get you into trouble with other prisoners and that.
The prison officers responsible for enforcing the prison regime see firsthand how prison life affects the prisoners and their families.
I've seen many times when the young people have been brought in to visit the family, the young people can go into what you could only describe as hysterics on having to leave their father behind. The father's been out there, been bringing them up, then all of a sudden he's not there. And they will see him 2, 3, 4, 5 times a month for a maximum of 2 hours. It's also that the father's not there to help bring the children up at home, support the wife, so it can really just be totally annihilate families.
In order to reduce knife crime, it seems we need to tackle the wider issues within society. Poverty, family breakup, and low educational attainment are just some of the factors that need investigated. Attempts by the police to tackle knife crime have had limited success, as there is no quick fix solution to the problem. The powers that they have to stop and search individuals that they suspect of carrying weapons have created a mistrust of the police force amongst some young people.
Not really like a big fan of them stopping and searching me, but it's the best way of like stopping the knife crime and stuff.
The way they're doing it, I don't know, because for me, like sometimes it's not even nice, like the way they just do it. Like when you've never had a criminal record, nothing like that.
I think they should, because that way like, it's going to be like less harm to people if they search them, so they know like they're not carrying anything dangerous.
I think it's actually quite good because there's a load of young kids running around the areas with knives, so police search them and stop them.
However, the difficulty of identifying perpetrators makes this one of the only preventative measures that works.
See, as difficult as knives can be concealed about somebody fairly easily, but we will employ a number of tactics in the police to identify that, and that can be used through search arches or metal detectors, which can be used obviously to identify something. We'll also use intelligence systems, so a lot of our policing obviously is intelligence led to identify information where we know or suspect somebody's carrying it. Then ultimately we have powers under the stop and search where we can conduct searches of people to identify if they are carrying any type of weapon.
However, there are organisations that are working hard to try and address some of the issues at the heart of the violence. Unity Football Team, the brainchild of Maurice Samuels, was set up to do exactly that. Through the use of sport, Unity has united people from opposing postcodes and has given the players a chance to build confidence and self-esteem through positive interaction.
Unity was set up in 2005 and it was to combat a load of issues involved in the Nottingham Triangle, St Anne's, Meadows and Radford. That encompassed a lot of gang warfare, street violence and a lot of things with young people being unfortunately injured or killed over this three-way feud. We teamed up with No More Knives. We've been going together in partnership now for like a year and a half. It's worked really well, but it's had another impact on a area in Luton. It's working well in Bedfordshire now. We're going to use the No More Knives and the Unity model to engage young people and educate them with using knives and weapons.
Through the making of this film, it's become clear that only a very small minority of young people ever do get involved in knife crime, or indeed are affected by knife crime. But what also is clear that for that small minority who do get involved in knife crime, the consequences on their lives and on the lives of those around them are really quite serious, and in some cases can last a lifetime. So we all live in the real world. We know that young people overwhelmingly say that they carry a knife for protection, and so what we're asking people is that if you feel that you are in a situation where you need to think about carrying a knife, or you have started carrying a knife, we just urge you to talk to someone you trust. And in life we all trust different people, and it might be your friend, it might be your friend's dad, it could be your teacher, your youth worker, your grandparent, your partner's mum. You know, it's really about talking to someone and trying to find the solution to the problem that you face.
This film is set out to educate people about the implications of using a knife to deal with potential conflict situations. As we have seen, the action of picking up a knife in both defence and attack affects the perpetrator, the victim, the families and friends of both, the professionals that are employed to deal with the aftermath of a stabbing, and society as a whole. We hope that the viewers of this film can use the information presented to them to make informed choices, taking into account the many factors that come into play when someone chooses to pick up and use a knife.
Another violent attack in Britain.
This latest street murder took place outside a takeaway. Suddenly, it turned violent. A knife was produced, and the two were stabbed.